States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Turner, can you give us a roll call vote, please?
Certainly. Commissioner Beaujean?
Here.
Actually, Committee Member Fitz?
Here.
Committee Member Aguilar?
Here.
Committee Member Lucia is not present, and Committee Member Grindal.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum.
Okay. First up on our agenda is the approval of the minutes of the May 1st, 2024 meeting.
Motion to approve?
I was going to ask if there were any comments, but apparently not. All in favor. We're going to do voice votes here. We're all here. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye as well. So it's unanimous. Staff reports. Staff report A, Community Development Block Grant Status Report.
Yes.
Assistant Deputy Director Interiano.
Yes. Thank you, Councilmember Grindal and CDAC committee members. Tonight, the presentation will be given by Michael Coulomb, our Housing Policy Program Manager, and he'll go over the items on the agenda.
Thank you, Councilmember Grindal and the committee. This evening, I'll provide some introductions, a status report on the Community Development Block Grant, an update on our jurisdictional improvement funds, proposed improvements for the coming fiscal year, staff's recommendation for the use of Community Development Block Grant funds, and then leave time for questions and answer from the committee. For those of you I haven't met yet, my name is Michael Coulomb. I'm the Housing Policy and Programs Manager for the city. I began with the city in December. And I'm joined by Mr. Art Interiano, Deputy Community Development Director. As part of the urban county, the city receives funds from the federal government through the Community Development Block Grant Program, also known as CDBG. CDBG funds various activities, including assistance to address the needs of lower income areas. As part of the CDBG program, the city is issued funds on an annual basis that may be used for the following programs: jurisdiction improvement funds, housing rehabilitation, and general administration. In 2025, the California Department of Finance estimated Newark had a population of 48,886. As a result of this, the city is able to form a jurisdiction large enough to apply for CDBG funds by partnering with other local jurisdictions. And so the city has done this for the last several years by forming what's called the urban county, along with the cities of Albany, Piedmont, Dublin, and Emeryville. We then apply to the County of Alameda, who administers CDBG on our behalf. I'll also tell you a little bit about the Minor Home Program, which is a component of the CDBG funds that the Alameda County administers on our behalf. The Minor Home Program provides small loans to low-income, qualifying homeowners to maintain their homes in habitable conditions. So examples of minor home repairs can include things like replacing a water heater or other kind of essential home infrastructure. Over the last 10 years, the city has received a roughly consistent but somewhat increasing number of funds from CDBG. In fiscal year 2023-2024, the city received an additional $112,854 in program income. So you'll see that towards the bottom of this table, that fiscal year 23-24 has an asterisk next to it. In that fiscal year, we had a significant amount of funds totaling $322,906. Last year, we received just over $200,000, broken up across those general administration, housing rehabilitation, and jurisdiction improvement funds. We don't yet know exactly how many funds we'll have available for fiscal year 25-26. The county hasn't presented us with that information yet, which is typical, but we are anticipating at this time receiving a similar amount as last year. Here's similar data on the Minor Home Repair Program, our 10-year completion history. In fiscal year 23-24, the city completed 15 minor home repairs, which is actually the greatest number since 2016-2017. We don't have full data yet on the number of repairs completed in fiscal year 24-25. That information should be available to us in July. But I can tell you that for the period between July 1st of 2024 and December 1st, 2024, 4 minor home repairs were completed and an additional 2 were scheduled.
A question for you on the previous page.
Yes.
When you said minor home repairs completed, are those that the city made or the loans that were made to?
Those loans were made to homeowners in Newark.
Okay.
Yes.
City did not complete.
The city is not going into people's
Okay.
homes, no. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I'll now present some information on recent jurisdiction improvement funds that were funded by our last 2 years of CDBG allocations. Starting in Ash Street Park, the basketball court there received a 2-inch grind and asphalt concrete overlay, which effectively means they ground down the top 2 inches of the basketball surface and then applied a new surface, painted, restriped it in order to remove all tripping hazards and restore the court. Similarly, in Ash Street Park, a new 5-foot wide concrete sidewalk was installed to connect Enterprise Drive with Elm Street. This project provided a really valuable pedestrian connection between Enterprise and Elm, saving walkers a lot of time who were moving from the neighborhood through the neighborhoods, but also providing a really nice circulatory loop around the park for those trying to get their steps in there. Similarly, some tripping hazards were removed on the pathway, the existing pathway closer to Oak Street in the northeast section of the park. At Birch Grove Park, in this photo you can see the existing ramp on your left, which was not ADA, Americans with Disability Act compliant. So a new ramp was installed. This allows people with mobility impairments to safely access the playground at the park. We also worked on another basketball court at Birch Grove Park. Similar to Civic Center Park, this basketball court received a new 2-inch asphalt surface. It was restriped and also new basketball hoops were installed. At Byington Park, we worked on another basketball court. This is a half court, and it was resurfaced to seal in cracks and restriped. Here you'll see some images of Lakeshore Park. The image on the left, again, is the path before we completed the improvements, and the image on the right is after. This project began with identifying specific tripping hazards around the circulatory park that goes around the lake, and then patching and repaving those tripping hazards. When we completed that work, there was a small amount of funds remaining, and so those remaining funds were used to apply a new sealant across a portion of the pathway running from Scarsborough Drive to Channel Drive. And then additionally, we resealed and restriped the parking lot. That resealant isn't as extensive as a complete repaving, but it does protect the surfaces from further deterioration, and it makes it look newer and more aesthetically pleasing. At Community Center Park, we worked in both the basketball court and the handball court. The basketball court was grinded down and resurfaced. New basketball hoops were installed. And the handball wall, which is that kind of beige colored wall at the left of the image, was repainted. So now, as for next year's jurisdiction improvement funds, staff are recommending applying funds again to the citywide ADA compliance improvement program to address needs at citywide parks, facilities, and parking lots. We are anticipating allocating $144,551, subject to those funds being made available to us by the U.S. government and the county to construct improvements at Mayhew's Landing Park, Civic Center Park, and Community Center Park. This is a 2-year approach to funding projects, as has been the past with use of CDBG funds. So we anticipate combining that $144,000 with next year's CDBG allocation as well to conduct this work. I'll briefly show you the projects that we would use these funds on. The first is here in Mayhew's Landing Park, where we would remove and replace damaged pathways. The part of the park that we would work on is in that red circle. The primary purpose of this work is to remove tripping hazards. We would also possibly place a root barrier along the edges of the pathways and kind of backfill them so that people don't trip on the new raised segment of the pathway. You can see here, this is the Mayhew's Landing Park pathway today, where the roots have really come up and pushed up a lot of that asphalt concrete pathway, creating a lot of tripping hazards and eroding the pavement. Here is another image of that same area. For a second project, we would address the basketball court at Civic Center Park to patch, pave, and dig out existing tripping hazards, cracks, issues with the surface. We would then spray the weeds that are growing up out of those cracks, seal the cracks, and then once the surface is fully prepared, we would apply a new sealant across the entirety of the basketball court, restripe it to high school dimensions so that it's a proper high school sized basketball court, and then install new basketball posts, backboards, and rims. And then if budget allows, we would look at replacing the bench there and garbage can. Here's an image of that basketball court at Civic Center Park. You can see the cracks along it, and then on the right you can see the bench and trash can that would be replaced. At Community Center Park, we would also remove and replace the damaged pathways, focusing on the areas directly in front of the community center building, as well as the pathway to the back entrance where the daycare is. Also, like in Mayhew's Landing Park, we would look to place a root barrier around the edges of those pathways to prevent the roots from the adjacent trees coming back up underneath the pathways. Here's an image of that area in front of Community Center Park where you can see the roots. And then here's another one. And so today, staff are recommending that the Community Development Advisory Commission accept the CDBG status report and recommend City Council allocate jurisdiction improvement funds towards citywide ADA compliance improvements. And we welcome the questions from the committee.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yes, good report. I really like those photos before and after. That picture's worth 1,000 words. A couple of things on the minor repairs. How would, for our vast listening audience on YouTube, how do they apply for those funds? A citizen of Newark or homeowner, who do they contact? And the second question is there a way to prioritize having this community center park upgraded before Newark days? Because that's a big deal. People are walking all around those things. And I don't know what the priorities are, but if that could be moved to the top of the list before Newark days, that would be great.
Thank you for your questions. Regarding the minor home repair program, our audience on YouTube and others can start by going to housing at newarkca.gov, which is our new housing webpage, where they can find homeowner resources, which links directly to the county portal for applying for those minor home repair funds. So that's the direction there, and I'm available if folks need further questions or guidance with working with the county. Regarding the second question about addressing the tripping hazards at Community Center Park and Newark days, at this time we don't have the funds directly available to fully replace the pathway, which is what we think it really needs. But I did have the opportunity to discuss just this very thing with my colleague, Michael Carmen, assistant engineer. And what we discussed could be possible is potentially working with the city's on-call contractor, Precision, I'm gonna get this wrong, Precision Concrete Cutting, who could look at doing a kind of quick job to cut out the immediate tripping hazards and patch over those. So that is something that we can look into in advance of Newark Days.
Good.
Thank you.
Other comments from committee members? Yes, Olga?
Two questions. Some meetings ago, this team, we recommended perhaps listing those home loans application on the quarterly magazine or pamphlet that the city issues. And because a lot of the seniors do not necessarily have internet connections or have computer skills or what have you. So we recommended some times ago that maybe you should list it there to everybody gets those and reads it, hopefully. The other thing on the lake park, what is the status of the bathroom at the lake?
Michael, do you mind coming up here and asking if there's any status on the bathrooms, or is, oh, we don't know, okay. Is that what particular project are you referring to? The construction of new bathrooms or remodeling of the existing bathrooms?
A bathroom at the lake.
Okay.
There's none.
We can look into that,
It's,
and.
it hasn't been one since 40 years.
I've heard it come up from time to time. Let me check with Public Works, and then we'll send out an update to the group, to the committee.
I've been asked, the city engineers and such, first there was no water connection. There is a bathroom there, but not available to the public.
Yeah.
So-
Okay, we'll follow up on that.
Thank you.
Other comments?
Question.
Committee member Aguilar?
Thank you. It's building on Mr. Fitt's question regarding the funding, and you're touching on it. So what I heard, or at least I think I heard, was it's a 2-year process, not to start construction, but to get the full, is it $144,000? So it's this calendar year and next calendar year to get the funding, and then the improvements could take place?
It's that we have $144,000 for jurisdiction improvements for this year.
Okay.
And typically, that's not enough to complete a full project or this portfolio of smaller projects, if you will.
Sure.
So the city's typical process has been that we combine 2 fiscal years pot of funds in order to make one larger project that we can implement at scale.
Sure. Okay. So is the thought this calendar, so we're 25, so around late 2026, is that a good estimate of when improvements would take place?
2026. Yeah, that could be a potential timeframe. Typically, the funds are available each year, beginning July 1st.
Okay.
Given the history of us working with the county on these grants, there's always like some delay to getting the notices from HUD, and just as we are now, not really knowing what our exact funds are going to be.
Sure.
And by the time, or after this process of having the CDAC review it, we send it to the city council. And then the county itself would then take all those urban county cities' approvals, and typically it's around like August, I want to say that they, so really the money doesn't really become available August 1st, it really is more like September of each year.
Okay.
So yes, maybe potentially it would be available, the funds would be available around September of 2026.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like a realistic time frame.
Thinking of potential, okay, so work maybe begins end of 26, early 27.
Yeah, typically during this time, Public Works, including Michael and other staff, will get their bids and start getting all this preparation for, for when the funds are available, and then they can start shortly after that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pictures you showed of the before and after, they look fantastic. I'm looking through them thinking this, and maybe we did this, I just don't know, but this next round, a cool piece to show to the city, whether it's our Facebook page, a newsletter, letting them know, hey, we've improved the asphalt at these basketball courts, just making notice because it matters. Seeing those basketball courts at the community center, Birch Grove and whatnot, they're neat, and folks do use them more when they're improved. So nice work on those, and looking forward to the next round.
Be good to put that in the state of the city address when
Yeah.
the mayor does that, put
Yeah.
photos up there, yeah.
Yeah, good point. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Commission, Committee Member Henschke, you have any comments? Great. Thank you. The only comment I had is I do applaud the idea of doing the 2-year approach. It lets you get more economies in that project. I would caution in terms of the timing that and Mr. Carmen can probably back me up, hopefully, but there are temperature requirements around asphalting, so it's not something you can typically do in the wintertime, but at the same time, I think combining them into a more effective group makes sense. I did have one question. Is there ever any coordination between the other streetscape projects, paving projects we have around the city? Is there any way to sort of have the same contractor or bid on both, or has that ever been considered?
Michael, can you talk about that?
Committee Member Grindal, Michael, Assistant Engineer. Yes, in fact, there have been talks. Another option to Mr. Cullum's suggestion that he mentioned as far as working with precision concrete cutting is to include that work to get it done sooner with our annual paving contractor who's going to be performing the slurry seal project this year. With that project, it involves dig outs. And so we could simply, as a change order, tack on this additional work, specifically at the community center park to address 4 newer days, which is a priority. So if that project comes in and starts, we'll instantly tack on the additional work as a change order. So yes, we can work with city projects to combine that work and get it done sooner versus later.
Great. Well, I applaud that creative thinking. Does that change what we're approving here or not?
I don't believe that would change.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Carmen. So, with no further questions, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Great. All in favor? Aye. So the vote is unanimous. Item C, an update on the SAHA Affordable Housing and Notice of Funding Availability. It's an informational item. I assume that's you, Michael.
Before we proceed to that, I do just want to make the committee aware that the White House's proposed budget has proposed significant cuts and modifications to the CDBG program, including possibly altering the administration of the program such that it's administered via block grants by states. So that is also a consideration just for the future in this unknown time as to how the program could be administered in the future. The funds for this current fiscal year were appropriated by the last federal budget, and so those are in place. But moving forward, we don't have further information on how the CDBG program could be implemented.
What percentage of the funding for the block grants is from the federal government?
CDBG as of now is entirely implemented by the federal government, but there has been some discussion of states possibly being asked to pick up a portion of that obligation. But very, very limited information is available at this time.
Right.
I just wanted to add, I am on the committee, Alameda County Committee for that, and the funds have not been received yet, or they don't know what funds when.
Right. No, I appreciate the information, and we'll keep an eye on that. This is not the only issue that we're all trying to read a crystal ball and tea leaves and whatever it takes to get some clue what's happening. But appreciate that this committee has voted to move forward with this strategy, even not knowing what's happening. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any further comments?
No.
So the SAHA report?
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Grindal. In June of 2022, this committee will recall that the city released a notice of funding availability inviting affordable housing developers to apply for financial assistance for affordable housing projects in Newark. And then in January of 2023, this committee recommended making a loan of up to $12 million from the city's Affordable Housing Impact Fee Fund to a developer named Satellite Affordable Housing Associates, also called SAHA, to develop an affordable housing project at 6347, 6375 Thornton Avenue. It's just opposite the Newark Pavilion. Later in March of that year, City Council accepted the committee's recommendation and authorized making that $12 million loan, including $4.3 million of which could be available for pre-development costs, namely for SAHA to acquire the property, architecture, engineering, environmental work, so forth. Flash forward to 2025, the Planning Commission has approved the project's entitlements for a 59-unit affordable housing development at that site, of which over half of all of the units would be 2 or 3 bedroom units. This qualifies the project as a large family project, making it the first such affordable housing project for families in Newark. The financial market for affordable housing and all housing development in the state of California right now, in the Bay Area in particular, is very challenging at this time. And so in order to make the project more competitive for highly sought after and essential state funding programs, in February, City Council authorized the city to take ownership of the project site from SAHA and to lease it back to them for development and long-term ownership and operation of the new community. In April, I'm pleased to say that that transfer of title, leaseback, and other agreements were finalized. And so as for next steps, the project has submitted their financing application to the State Department of Housing and Community Development for approximately $18 million. HCD, the Department of Housing and Community Development, is expected to make awards in August. If that application is successful, they'll submit one more, their final financing application, in September of this year, with awards in December. All that to say, if those applications are successful, the earliest the project would break ground is spring of 2026, with a 2028 grand opening, which aligns with the city's affordable housing loan agreement for the project. So I'm very pleased to share with the committee that we've completed some really significant milestones in both the approval and financing of the project, and we now await the action by the state. The environment's competitive, but we're very confident that the city has done all that we can to support this project and use it to help meet our housing goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from committee members? Question? Yeah.
How does HCD treat, now with an approved and adopted housing element with this updated cycle, at what stage does HCD count those, the units affordable towards the RHNA housing goals for the municipality? Is it once a builder puts a shovel in the ground? Is it when the project's approved? What do they look to when they begin counting those numbers?
Do you want to take that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So there's 2 ways. The one way that, or the first step really, is the city does a APR, an annual progress report for the housing element every year. So that's where we provide progress report on all the different housing elements. So we provide the number of units that have been issued building permits. There's a lot of information that's provided to them, but later on there's also like another part of that spreadsheet that asks for how many units have been completed. So they're tracking both of that. So those are the ways that we show progress and we report as part of our RHNA.
Understood. Okay, fantastic and great work thus far.
Thank you, Commissioner.
That's good.
Other question? Thank you.
The 59 units, are they all affordable? Would there be a percentage of them that will be affordable?
They're all affordable with the exception of one manager's unit, and that will be where the property manager lives, and that unit doesn't have any income restrictions.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No. Okay. Mr. Colom, thank you for your report. Appreciate it.
Thank you, council member.
By the way, we didn't ask for public comment on items not on the agenda because there's no one except our staff in the room, just for the record. But with that, I would adjourn this meeting. Or do you ask for a motion to adjourn?
Or any comments? I think we had all our comments, yeah.
Yep. Well, certainly, are there commission member comments that are on general that want to be made?
Just in general, I wanted to talk about the affordable housing, that Eden Timber project going really good over there on Timber. We can see it from the freeway, you can see it from Fremont. That is going great. That's an affordable senior project, I believe, yeah. Nice.
Great. Any other committee member comments?
I always have
All the
comments.
board, right.
On the senior project, is that gonna be based on Newark residents, or is that gonna be everybody who comes here?
The city has also provided funds to that project through our allocation of County Measure A1 funds, and that agreement does include a preference for residents of Newark.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from committee members? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved?
Is it second? Is there a second?
Sure.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.
That's good.
You do it that way.
Good, good meeting.